All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready to dig into another career deep dive.
Always excited to explore new career paths. What are we unpacking today?
Well, today's topic might surprise you. We're diving into the world of fruit and vegetable canning. I know what you're thinking.
Sounds specific.
It does, right? But stick with us because this is a field that impacts all of us way more than we probably realize.
That's true. Food production touches every single one of us.
Exactly. And to guide our exploration, we're turning to RoleCatcher's career guide on, you guessed it, fruit and vegetable canning.
Oh, they have a whole guide dedicated to that.
They do. And it's packed with interesting insights. We're going to unpack what this job really entails day to day, uncover any hidden complexities, and most importantly,
The million-dollar question.
what's the future hold for someone in this role? Because let's be honest, when you think dream job, fruit and vegetable canning might not be the first thing that springs to mind.
You're not wrong,
Yeah.
but I am curious now. Where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, the guide surprised me right off the bat. They actually hint at some really cool tech advancements happening in the field. So forget those old-timey canning jar images. We're talking 21st century food tech here, folks. But I think, like with any good deep dive, we should probably start with the basics.
Sounds like a plan. Back to basics it is.
Okay, so let's break it down. What does a fruit and vegetable canner actually do all day? Because, I gotta be honest, before reading this guide, my mental picture was a little fuzzy.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's easy to assume it's all about canning, but it's actually a much broader role than that. Think of it as being part of the entire preservation process from the moment those fruits and vegetables arrive from the farm.
That's a really good point. They're not just canning, they're freezing, preserving, packing, the whole shebang. And speaking of which, this guy gets into some surprisingly specific responsibilities.
Oh, what? Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so for an entry-level canner, it actually mentions operating washing machines to clean fruits and vegetables thoroughly. I mean, I never really thought about that whole process before, you know?
That's interesting. It makes sense though, right? Got to start with a clean slate or a clean tomato.
Exactly. And it just goes to show how detailed this guide gets.
It's great that they don't shy away from the nitty-gritty details.
I agree, and it gets even more granular as we move up the career ladder. Like for a senior canner, one responsibility listed is supervising the peeling and trimming of produce, ensuring efficiency and accuracy. That's a direct quote. So you can already see a progression there, right?
Absolutely. From those hands-on tasks to potentially overseeing entire sections of the production line, it sounds like there's a real opportunity for growth.
Right, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But there was one part that really threw me for a loop, and I'm dying to get your take on.
Okay, you've piqued my interest now. Hit me. What surprised you?
They have this whole section dedicated to specialisms, like niche areas within the field.
Makes sense. With a field so broad, there are bound to be specializations. So what's the catch?
The catch is the entire section is blank.
Blank. You're kidding. It's like they're hiding industry secrets.
I know, right? A specialisms section with no specialisms. Okay, now I'm even more curious. What are they hiding? This is like a culinary mystery novel.
It really is. It makes you wonder what those niche roles could be. But it's a good reminder that there's often more to a career path than meets the eye. Speaking of which, let's peel back another layer of this career.
Ooh, okay, I like where this is going. What are we peeling back?
Let's take a look at the pros and cons. RoleCatcher gives us a pretty standard list, but there are a few surprises sprinkled in.
Okay, all right, I'm intrigued. Hit me with a pro. Give me something that'll make me want to dust off my apron and jump into the canning world.
How about this? Stable job market.
Music to my ears. You know, in this economy, job security is golden. But tell me, what makes this field particularly stable? Because I feel like people always need to eat right. So, is it more than that?
You're right, food production isn't going anywhere. But what sets this field apart is its crucial role in our modern food system. Think about it. The demand for packaged and preserved foods, it's only increasing. People want convenience. They want longer shelf lives. And that's where fruit and vegetable canners come in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Convenience is king these days.
Yeah.
All right, stable job market. I like it. But there's got to be a downside, right? What's one of the cons listed?
Well, one that stood out to me, they listed limited creativity.
Really? At all levels?
Yeah.
Because I'm picturing those senior canners we talked about, the ones developing new procedures. It's got to take some ingenuity, right? What are your thoughts?
You know, I had the same thought, and I actually came across a great example while researching for this deep dive. A few years back, I interviewed a cannery supervisor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they had come up with this brilliant solution to reduce waste in the peach slicing process.
Whoa, really? Tell me more. What did they do?
Apparently, they were having this issue with too much fruit being discarded because the automated slicers weren't calibrated for all the different peach sizes.
That makes sense. Peaches come in all shapes and sizes.
Exactly. So the supervisor, drawing on their years of experience, actually came up with a simple adjustment to the sorting process, which dramatically reduced waste and saved the company a bunch of money too.
That's amazing. It just goes to show, even in a field that seems very process-driven, there's always room for creative problem solving. Maybe limited creativity isn't the right way to put it. Maybe it's more like opportunities for creative problem solving within a structured environment or something like that.
I think you're onto something there. It's all about finding creative solutions within the existing framework. And that ingenuity is probably even more valuable in those specialized roles we're curious about. I'm dying to know what kind of creative solutions those experts are cooking up.
Me too. But blank specialisms section, remember? They're playing their cards close to the vest on that one. But speaking of skills, the guide mentions moving up to management positions. But there's also that intriguing mention of specializing within a specific area of food processing. Any guesses on what those specializations could be? Like, what comes to mind?
Well, think about the sheer variety of products within the canned and frozen food aisle. You got your fruits, your vegetables, your soups, your sauces. It stands to reason there are specialized roles dedicated to each type of product, right? Each requiring specific knowledge of preservation methods, packaging requirements, maybe even recipe development.
Okay, that makes total sense. I'm already imagining titles like pickle optimization specialist or high pressure jam master.
I love it.
But you know what? This guide is also making me think outside the factory walls. Could these skills translate to other jobs? What do you think?
Absolutely. This guide highlights a single role, but it's really a gateway to a whole network of interconnected fields. We're talking food science, quality control, maybe even sustainable agriculture or food waste solutions. The possibilities are pretty vast when you start to connect the dots.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that. So someone interested in this field could start with fruit and vegetable canning and then branch out in all sorts of directions. That's pretty cool. But for now, let's say someone listening is ready to trade in their laptop for a hairnet and some steel-toed boots. What kind of interview questions can they expect? Luckily, RoleCatcher gives us some insider intel. They actually list out a bunch of potential interview questions, which is super helpful. And some of these are real head scratchers, like, are you ready for this? One of them is, can you discuss any experience you have with developing and implementing food safety protocols?
Wow, that's pretty intense for an entry-level position.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that level of responsibility to come up right off the bat.
It definitely shows that even though we're talking about a job that on the surface might seem pretty straightforward, there's a huge GE emphasis on safety and quality control at every stage.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're talking about the food we eat, so those standards are paramount. But you're right, it does suggest that employers are looking for candidates who are already thinking about safety, even if they don't have direct experience.
Totally. And it's not just about ticking boxes on a checklist either. Remember those technology advances mentioned earlier? The guide kind of glosses over them.
Yeah.
But if you were going into an interview for a job like this, would it be helpful to show that you're adaptable and ready to learn new systems?
Absolutely. Think about those automated sorting systems we talked about, or the high-pressure processing techniques. These aren't your grandma's canning methods.
Right.
Employers are going to be looking for people who are comfortable with technology and eager to adapt.
Okay, so you've aced all the technical questions, you're a whiz with a pressure gauge, you're practically best friends with the automated sorter, but then RoleCatcher throws in one final curveball.
Oh, what's that?
They casually mention teamwork as a key aspect of the job, but they don't really elaborate. What's your take on that? What's the real scoop on the social dynamics of working in a place like this? Because that's something you don't always get from a job description.
You know, that's something no career guide can fully prepare you for.
Yeah.
It's one thing to master the technical skills, but to really thrive in any job, especially one that involves close collaboration in a fast-paced environment like this. You need strong interpersonal skills. You need to be able to communicate effectively, problem solve on the fly, and yes, work as part of a team.
So for anyone out there picturing themselves alone in a room surrounded by peaches and a pressure cooker, remember, there are real people behind those canned goods. And mastering the art of teamwork, well, that just might be the secret ingredient to success in this industry. So there you have it. Who knew that fruit and vegetable canning could be so complex?
I know, it's way more than meets the eye.
Right. We talked about high-tech machinery, creative problem-solving, teamwork, and those mysterious specialisms. What's up with that? Guess we'll have to leave that as an open question for our listeners.
Maybe one of our listeners will unlock those industry secrets and report back.
Exactly. All right, folks, that's it for this deep dive. Until next time.